All right. Let's move ahead and let's create a table using this data types. Okay. So I have a table. I'm going to create a table which is string underscore a table, which is going to have ID, which is in first name varchar of 50, the last name varchar of 50, email the varchar of 100, and I also has a history which I'm gonna choose text as an data type for that particular column. Okay. All right. So I'm going to create this table inside the batch one database. Okay. You see we have a database already created, which is batch one. I always have an habit of uh, putting a database before to this using the relational operator, which is dot. So I'm going to create this now. So my table got created. I could clearly see it over here that I don't see any error. So the table got created successfully. Okay. Now, once my table, so now what to do? Okay, you have a table created. Now I can insert the data into it, right? So to insert the data, I have to use insert into. So insert into the table name and the column names I had given after the table name with the comma separated set, and then their respective values were also being given over here. So this is how you do the insert into thing, correct? So this we looked in the yesterday's session. So insert into is the way how you can basically insert the data into any table per se. Okay. So now when I execute this, I could see this row will be get inserted into the table. Okay, the
The
status is
table not created, right?
no status. Okay, let me remove the status.
But the table is not created, right?
The table is created. If you see over here, it's got created.
Yeah.
Okay, I was doing an insert into. Okay, what is the error? The preferences. Okay, we don't have a column called preferences. I think it should be history. Okay, and I'm gonna execute this now. And I mean, we could clearly see this particular row got inserted successfully into the table. Okay. Now, if I wanted to select or if I wanted to read the data from the table, it is looks something like this. Select star from the string table, and you can execute this, and you could see the data as an output onto the console when you execute that. Okay, so selecting, if you wanted to read the data, you can use a select clause. If you wanted to insert, if you wanted to add the data or append the data, then you can use an insert clause. If you wanted to create the table or a database, you can use the create clause. Okay, so yeah, okay. So this is something we discussed in the very previous sessions, if you remember. So the batch one is basically the data type, sorry, the database. So anything that you can create, so if you wanted to create some entity in your MySQL or the relational database, you have to create that inside a database. So what I'm telling over here is I'm telling, okay, you go and create a table, which is a string underscore table inside this database. So dot is basically called as a relationship operator. So what does the relationship operator basically do is it always creates a relationship between two entities. So here in this case, two entities are the database and other is the table. So this is going to create the relationship between these two. So where what I'm trying to tell to my MySQL is, okay, you go and create a table called string underscore table under the database batch one. So that's the relationship between these two. Okay. Okay. Now my data is inserted and I could able to read it. Now what else I can do with this? That's the question, right? So let's look at some of the other important operations that you can perform with the select. Okay. So this is a plain vanilla select thing, right? So you are saying select star from a particular table, you could see all the results coming out. Max to max, what you can do with this is you can choose the columns that you want as an output, right? The first name and the last name. So this is something we already seen, correct? So when you select something like this, you could see only those columns that you're trying to select will come as an output. Now, what else you can do with this? That's the question, right? So let's look at some. Okay, let's look at the date data types, and then we can look at the other operations that we can able to perform on using the select. Okay.